Hi there, welcome back. We really appreciate all the fabulous tweets coming in at World Summit AI. Our hashtag is hashtag WSAI20. And we're getting great feedback on the networking as well as the exhibitions in cyberspace. So hope you guys are enjoying that and get to check it all out. So our next headline speaker is going to be speaking to us about AI in the time of COVID-19. He is Marc Warner, CEO and co-founder of Faculty. He co-founded Faculty in the belief that the benefits of AI should extend to everyone. Outside of Faculty, he advises the UK government on digital data and artificial intelligence as a member of the Digital Economic Advisory Council. He has a PhD in quantum computing and a degree in physics from Imperial College London. I'm really excited to have you, Marc. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for the introduction. So I am just hoping that I can share my slides and hopefully everyone can see that. So thank you. So basically my aim for today's talk is to leave you with an idea of how AI and more broadly data science can help in a crisis. So to start with a tiny bit about me and Faculty. As was just said in the introduction, I'm the co-founder and CEO. Faculty is an applied AI company that helps organizations who have the scale, the data, and the foresight to adopt AI into their business. I actually left physics because I think that artificial intelligence is one of the most important technologies of our time, if not, the most important technology. And at Faculty, we want to catalyze its adoption across society by helping our customers to adopt it into their organizations. We have 4 vertical focus areas, so engineering and the built environment, health, consumer, and government. And we help organizations in 3 ways. Strategy, so essentially helping leadership teams to design and execute on the right AI adoption strategy for their organization. Software, so building and deploying custom machine learning software to help our clients solve their most important problems. And skills, so helping teams to grow their in-house data science capability so they can use AI to deliver measurable impact to their business or organization. We think there are basically 3 things that set us apart. We're specialists, so we only do AI and data science. We have a team of over 80 PhDs from the world's best universities thinking about AI and data science the whole time. We've lots of experience doing this in the real world with 230 customers across both the private and public sector. And we have this unique integration of software strategy and skills, which we think are all necessary to deliver the value of AI into a business. So, obviously, 2020 has been a very challenging year. Coronavirus has now claimed the lives of probably about 1 million people worldwide. We've seen huge economic turmoil in the UK with the economy shrinking 20%. In the US, trillions of dollars of stimulus has been required. It's also driven enormous behavior change around working from home, reduced mobility, and through this changed the way that we use technology. And it's still unclear what is permanent and what is temporary in that. It's caused some businesses to fail and others to sort of tighten their belts. And everything optional or ancillary has been jettisoned, whether that's programs or products or even, sadly, staff. So that means it's been a severe test of the value of AI. And at the beginning of the crisis, AI was hyped by some people in the media as the sort of silver bullet solution to everything. And then some point to the fact that, we're still things are still going and not getting much better, very fast, and suggest that this is somehow a failure of technology or AI. And I think that view is, politely a little bit one-dimensional. I mean, clearly there have been failures, but there's also been very important situations where AI helped on an enormous scale. For instance, AI powered Amazon's ability to manage their supply chain through the crisis. And And I think the right way to approach this problem is to look at some examples of where, under great pressure, AI helped to deliver very important services and see what we can learn from that. And maybe we can take some of those lessons forward. At faculty, we've seen an acceleration of interest and a real shift towards embracing what AI and data analytics has to offer. One of our proudest moments recently was when someone in the NHS said that our work with them had helped them make 10 years of progress in just a few months. And so to make this a little bit more concrete, I'd like to talk about 3 examples and explain how even in a crisis, AI can help with critical business processes to strengthen relationships with customers, to manage risk across a business, and to improve situational awareness across an enormous medical system. And so diving in, the first example I'd like to talk about is a case study with the retailer. So when COVID-19 sent everyone into enforced isolation, it obviously accelerated the need for all businesses to have a great online presence, a marketing function. And we helped a fashion retailer, a sector under enormous pressure, with exactly this. So many retailers, when COVID struck, resorted to sort of blitz discounting, but ultimately consumers were just lost in a blizzard of deals. Instead, our customer used the opportunity to create a more accurate purchase prediction model, and that allows them to provide their customers with more relevant offers. Now, this is kind of good in multiple ways, but it particularly helps avoid echo chambers effects in marketing. So where businesses don't realize that their messaging and action is affecting the behavior of their customers. Most of the time, an organization wants to find customers out of all the people in the world. But a company only really has data and interacts with the customers that actually buy from them. And so that leads to companies training their models on only their customers and only marketing to specific subsets inside these groups. And over time, that means you hit the same people again and again and depend on a smaller group of customers. And it can lead to annoyed customers, confusion, cannibalization of revenue, and importantly, reduced revenue, because in principle, you can offer discounts to customers who are already likely to make a purchase, or throw away spend on customers who are never going to make a purchase. So instead, faculty's application allows the company to make relevant outreach to customers based on an accurate prediction of their likelihood to purchase in the next 12 months. And that enables a whole host of things. I mean, we're now deploying this with an estimated revenue uplift of sort of millions of pounds a year. And at the same time, critically improving the relationship with the customers because you contact them less. And I think it's interesting that a crisis offered the opportunity to do both of these things together. So both improving and deepening customer relationships while driving improved revenues. The second example I'd like to talk about is a project that illustrates how, even in uncertain times, AI can help manage risk. So we worked with a payments processor that handles the payroll for a whole bunch of companies. I mean, they ensure that hundreds of thousands, even millions of people get paid on time every month. But of course, if they guarantee the payroll, then they're taking a risk if the company that they're managing the payroll for goes bust. And obviously, COVID is a particularly scary time for them because it's unclear how much risk they're exposed to. Now, historically, they've run checks on tens of thousands of payrolls per year for signs of default. But of course, in COVID, they're worried that the risk is going to skyrocket. And they would like to be able to run checks that are faster, more efficient, and improved accuracy when they're doing the risk assessment. And so with this company, we built a machine learning model that allows them to better understand the risks across their portfolio, to reduce the time to make the assessment, and ultimately to ensure that people get paid on time. I think this is a particularly interesting example because, as I'm sure everyone here is familiar, AI, the lifeblood of AI is data. And in a crisis, your initial instinct might be that since the historical trends are changing very fast, you won't be able to use something that depends on data because it's just changing too much. Fortunately, though, there are a set of questions that if you ask the question appropriately, you can still use elements of the historical data. So if you focus your attention on the things that predict a company in trouble, then the historical record offers a good opportunity to that, and you can use that in the context of your sort of human decision making to inform it, not automating the whole process, but providing human decision makers with the best possible insight that they can have. Finally, the third example I'd like to talk about, and perhaps most important, is using our skills and technology to help the NHS. So shortly before COVID-19, faculty became the strategic AI partner of NHSX, which is the sort of gateway for tech innovation into the NHS. Truthfully, we hadn't anticipated quite how quickly they would need us. Just a month or so later, COVID presented the NHS with a totally unprecedented challenge, where potentially there was the opportunity for data science and AI to help and have impact. Ultimately, the NHS needed to understand and anticipate the demand on health and care services. And so they needed a robust operating picture of the virus, how it's spreading, and how that will affect the NHS and social care services. And this translates to some real important outcomes for patients, where hospitals are likely to face strain, where they're going to need ventilators or beds, or where NHS staff are going to be out sick and not be able to provide the same levels of care. So, of course, many different parts of the NHS already capture much of this information, but staying ahead of the virus requires you to streamline how you use it. And in a crisis response, inconsistencies can cost lives. Obviously, in any clinical related decision in the NHS, clinicians always make the decisions, but it's important that they have the best possible information that we can provide them with. So what did the NHS do? Well, they brought together a large collaboration, a number of technology companies, including faculty, a bunch of different parts of the NHS, NHSX, NHSEI, NHSD, and probably a bunch of others I'm forgetting. Other organizations in the healthcare space like PHE and HDR UK. And the kind of role of this collaboration was to provide a single source of truth about the rapidly evolving situation, so that the system level data could be integrated, cleaned, harmonized to develop the information needed to support decision making. It's probably worth being very clear at this point that this is nothing to do with personal data. It's only caring about the sort of system at a system level. So no personal patient data at all, and all the data remains under NHS England's and NHS Improvements control at all times. They're extremely careful, extremely thoughtful about that kind of stuff. So that meant that once we had this ability to sort of understand the system, we needed to surface it to decision makers. So we built some dashboards that give live metrics that are needed to track and understand the spread of the crisis and the capacity of the healthcare system to deal with it. And so using these dashboards, decision makers are able to understand how the virus is impacting hospitals and proactively manage health and care resources in different areas of the country, ensure critical equipment gets to the facilities with greatest needs, and divert patients and service users to facilities that are best able to care for them based on the demand and the resources and the staffing capacity and things like that. Ultimately, this project has shown a new way of using system level data in the NHS. And hopefully, even if this particular technology gets closed off at the end of the crisis, it will have demonstrated a new way forward, and through that, through the kind of knowledge and skills that have been gained, provide a lasting legacy. So what should we take from these examples? I think it's important, and it may sound funny as a CEO of an AI company to say this, to note that AI is not a silver bullet. It can't create nurses out of thin air or make money if there are no customers. But when done right, it does open incredibly important new horizons, and it can be helpful on a range of practical problems, even under very difficult circumstances. In particular, just today, hopefully I've convinced you that it can help you strengthen relationships with customers, manage risk across your business, or improve your situational awareness, even under the circumstances of great pressure. Getting it right is hard, though. It certainly does require great technology, but it also requires building the AI into the business organization in a thoughtful way and helping the organization develop capability over time to run and grow the system themselves. Fundamentally, I agree with Stuart Russell, a very famous AI professor at Berkeley, that our goal as AI practitioners is not to prove that AI works. Rather, it's to prove that AI works for people. And I think there's no better time for that than right now. Thank you for your attention.
Marc, thank you so much. I love that your last comment, AI works for people. It's such an important topic right now, and I think we all really appreciate your insights. Thank you so much for being here. If you have questions for Marc, please go to the link in the chat box, and you can just type your questions into the chat, and he will answer your questions. So right now on the session stage, we have AI for Enterprise requires unique tools to meet the needs of teams with business. And this will be actually starting on the hour, and it'll feature Julia Hervé, CEO and co-founder of Zetane Systems. And then we also have another event going on starting on the hour at Cyberspace with KPMG in conversation with CEO of Boost AI. So we're going to take a little break right now. Feel free to do some of the one-to-one networking in the networking on your tab. And then also check out the exhibitions in Cyberspace. And in sessions, be sure to join our WhatsApp group conversation so we can keep this conversation going. Thank you so much. I will be back at 50 past the hour. Thanks.